Okay, so the recordings will be available on Telegram. So I will send them in Telegram because before I didn't know that Telegram was actually able to allow me to send those more than 30 MB videos or files. But Telegram is actually enabling me to send a lot of these recordings directly to the group. So I will be sending them so that those who don't have the video may join in with that video. May watch the video as you have joined the Telegram group that we have for the grammar classes. So today we're going to talk about the 6th grammatical case. Very wonderful grammatical. Actually, all of those are very wonderful grammatical case. As we move on with these, we have already discussed, like this is the first commentary that we're doing on the classical Tibetan text. Then after this, we'll do the same. That is a commentary by the same author on a different text by Tumi. And then what we will do is we'll move on to another commentary that is a more common commentary in the, let's say, Tibetan community, where people study Tibetan further after this, after the introduction of those grammar that we have done from the this to text. So we will continue. We will continue that with two commentary by Siddhu Rinpoche, which is like the first commentary would be the oral commentary from Siddhu Rinpoche to Dharmapata. The second one is called the Great Commentary. So we may or may not cover the commentary by Tati Rinpoche. So that depends, because as you see that this commentary itself is taking us, like for the 6th grammatical case, it has already taken us more than a month. So you see that, more than 2 months to reach here. And then as we continue, it'll be like at least 6 to 8 months to complete everything, or 1 year, to complete everything. And then if we consider all of those texts, it'll be like 5 or 6 years to complete the entire thing. But we're also going to introduce the text by Mitra Gyana, which is a very poor translation from my side. So please be patient with me. So the English translation would be the armor of the gate to the gate. Okay, so it will be the gate to speaking the language. So it's like a gate to speaking the language. So therefore, it could be translated in 2 ways. I could emphasize on the word go, and then it will be the gate to speaking. Or then I could emphasize on Twencha, and I could say it is the armor of speaking. So very poor translation on my side. So very sorry. But in any case, we'll continue with those lessons. That is the lessons regarding the lessons regarding the grammar. And on the side, we're still going to continue the the conversation class as well as the reading class. So please remember that the reading class, we have done only the basic. We're also going to continue the more advanced level of reading, at the end of which will probably be at the end we'll probably introduce reading those more difficult ones. Probably we will be learning how to read some of the text in Tibetan, including the mantras that are written in Tibetan. So that would be in the advanced reading class. And then we have the basic conversation class that in which we are going to introduce ways to speak with inclination towards the written language. And then we have the vocabulary and everything in both the reading as well as this class. So therefore, the grammar class will be something that will be going independent of those two classes. Those two classes will be conducted in order. So for example, first we do the basic reading class, we do the basic conversation class, then we do the intermediate reading class, lower intermediate reading class, we do the lower intermediate speaking class, upper intermediate reading class, upper intermediate speaking class, conversation class, and then advanced reading class, advanced speaking conversation class. Then in between we'll also have these small courses which will be known as the Dharma vocabulary class. So this is like the blueprint that we have of what we're going to do with these classes that we're having. So once again, thank you very much for the commitment. Definitely, it's a very big commitment if you want to commit to the entire course. That's going to take a few years. So thank you very much for that commitment. Now, having said that, let us go back to our topic of today, which is the sixth grammatical case. We're already done with the first connective, the second connective particle, which is the dependent particle, the second dependent particle, which was la de, the particle used in place of la. So we are already done with la de. And now we're going to discuss the third dependent particle, that is ide. The particles possessing the first vowel E. So let me share. Let me do the screen sharing. Okay, so before we begin, so normally we dedicate, for me, before starting the class, I dedicate it to the Manjushri, the originator of all wisdom. So from today we will have like dedication going in between Manjushri and the Vajra consort of Manjushri, that is Saraswati. So we will be going like one day, and we'll have the same mantra because both of them are just different projection, but the same thing. So therefore, so I have written this verse. This is written by me. It's a verse of praise to Saraswati. So Tinso Rakar Insu Chotser Shana Bemo Changwe Shirama Sonya Choki Jigden Ngakwin Chang Yangchen Mai Shabla Kuchatsel. So it means that Tinso Rakar means the clouds, the gathering of clouds, most excellent white color clouds, which refers the Bodhisattva mind. Ing means in the center of, and Höchok here means the most excellent light, which refers to the light of wisdom pertaining emptiness. So, which is the light of Saraswati. So in the midst of the most excellent white clouds, shines the most excellent light, which is of the Saraswati. Chauna Pemu means the one who is holding the lotus in hand. Shirabma is the female, it means the female emanation of wisdom. That is the female counterpart of Manjushri. Songyang Choki. Songyang here means the most wonderful speech. That is all the vowels, the consonants, the statements that comes from that. And then later, those vowels that comes together with consonants It makes words and names which comes together and makes statements. And some of those statements are the words of wisdom. So the most excellent speech. Soya choki jigde ngakun chance. Nga means the speech. Jigde means samsara. Gun means all the speech, that is the speech with imperfections. Chang means to wash away, to purify them. So with your most wonderful speech, you purify all of those impurities of speech that is in the entire samsara. Yangchen mai shabla kuchatsel. I prostrate with reverence to your feet, O Saraswati. So we begin this class with dedication to Saraswati, the female counterpart of Manjushri, the emanation of wisdom. And then we have the same mantra that is of the Manjushri, Om Arapadzanati. So, okay, after this, now we begin the class. And those who would like to have, if you would like to have the English translation of this verse, I will provide it in the group so that you can read it, and if you want, you can read it and then think about the verse. So the most humble attempt to praise something that is beyond my comprehension with these imperfect words. So, but still, if you wish to have the translation, I will do that. So. Okay, I'll also provide the audio. So, lasso. Okay, now we begin our class. Ide namye Drubpay. Ide is the particle possessing e. E means the first of the four vowels that we have. We have 4 vowels: e, kiku, u, shapku, e, drembo, o, naro. So these are the 4 particles that we have, 4 vowels we have in Tibetan. And out of these 4 vowels, the first one is E. And you will see that these are called ide because these are particles, that all of these particles possess the first vowel, that is E or kiku. And then the usage case of these particles, the first usage case, that is the 6th grammatical case. Okay. Lekshe jongale. Ki yingapo namye Drubpay diratan. From the tree of excellent speech, the 5 ki hi are the particles of 6th grammatical case, that is relative case. So you see that here namye Drubpay is the 6th grammatical case, and relative case is delta. The understanding of particles are the particles of 6th grammatical case is inferential from the relation between these 2 statements. The first one tells us what are the particles of the 6th grammatical case, and thus a relation forms between these 2 statements to infer the understanding that these are the particles of the 6th grammatical case. That is the 6th grammatical case, that is of the relative case. So this is the root text from the tree of excellent speech or tree of eloquent speech. So ki yingapo namye Drubpay diratan. So you see that there is and here. That means that the entire verse is not finished. There's thing that's still left to go. And that this particular tongue, what it does is that it is a conjunction and at this very particular context. And here, the thing that comes after the and is the 3rd grammatical case. So there are 2 usage cases of the particles possessing ide. The first one is the 6th grammatical case, and the second one is the 3rd grammatical case. But at the in the context of the 3rd grammatical case, we will understand that these have different particles. So it's almost the same, but then there's addition to these 5 particles. There's addition of consonant to these particles that makes it the makes it the particles of the third grammatical case. But here, these 5 which do not possess any consonant, these are, when I say consonant, I mean addition of any consonant to these, which is already here. These 5 particles, which, as you can see, they possess, all of these possess the first vowel, and the first vowel is the I or kiku. So all of these consist of kiku or I, and that is why it is called, that's the reason why it's called ide. So the root text, the 5 ki, 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 yi are particles of 6 grammatical case, relative case, and then we will add the and to the next portion of the verse when we translate it. Okay, so the particles possessing I, the 6th grammatical case. 마고소 슝 도마루 기소 기 던조 튼베 치겐소 도마 요경 다리 nganchu situ rinpoche shung dile ngosu tembe tonjo tsamle ngochu chagyu min. So even though there are various other usage cases, such as contradictory statement case, usage of the particle possessing I, which is shown in texts such as mago, which is mago chunja, by Mitragyana. But we shall only study today, we shall only study the usage case which are directly stated in 30 and made apparent by Siddhu Rinpoche, which is the 6th and the 3rd grammatical case. Even though ki, particles possessing I such as ki, can be used in other usage cases which are neither 6th grammatical case nor the 3rd grammatical case, and are shown in text by such as the Mago Chuncha by Mitragyana and other texts. But in this particular moment, we're only going to discuss the 2 usage cases which are made apparent here. And since we're being strict to the grammatical lineage of Siddhu Rinpoche, as we are studying the commentary by one of the disciple of Siddhu Rinpoche, that is the Yangchen Drubpay Dorje, who is the disciple of Dharmapata, who is a disciple of Siddhu Rinpoche. So the grammatical lineage comes from Siddhu Rinpoche. And we are considering the definition given by Siddhu Rinpoche as the principal commitment. That is our principal commitment. That's our responsibility regarding the understanding of 30. So therefore, even though there are various other usage, such as the contradictory statement case, that is mitumpe ge. Mitumpa means contradiction. Ge means, again, is more or less, it means ornamentation, but to ornament things. But here we just simply state it as statement. So contradictory statement case, which we will learn in another particle, which is stated in the 30. And we will understand what do we mean by contradictory statement. What are the contradiction here? So though these texts, there are usage cases of these particle possessing I, stated in text by Mitragyana. But today we're only going to, so when I say today, I mean in this class, we're only going to study 2 usage cases which are directly stated in 30 and made apparent by Siddhu Rinpoche, that is the 6th and the 3rd grammatical case. Okay, so deshe ki ying aponi ide nangse ki namye trupa dre is. Explanation: the 5 ki yi are particles of 6th grammatical case. So sorry for the 6, it's the 6th. So 6th grammatical case, which is the relative case, and one of the subgroup of usage of the particle possessing I. So it's one of the subgroup, meaning that we already understood that it was already made apparent by the former statement. It stated that there are two usage cases that we are going to study. And one of these usage cases, that is the subgroup of the usage case of the particle possessing E, ide, has 5 particles. And these 5 particles are ki, 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 yi, yi. So these 5 particles, as we see, are the particles that are used to make used in the usage case of the 6th grammatical case. Okay, so sikche de chola yang shi na ne tangpo I dang den yue de chor I den che peki. So these particles which possess the first out of the 4 vowels, that is I, kiku. Therefore, these particles are called, therefore these particles are called ide, I, which is the first of the 4 vowels, that is I, kiku, and de means possessing. So particles possessing I, which is ide. So this is the in Tibetan we call it Drubpay. So more or less, it's more or less the etymology of the word, the explanation of how the word gives the meaning, or why the word is like this. So we understood that there are 5. So through the very text of the tree of excellent speech or tree of eloquent speech, we understand that there are 5 particles of the 6th grammatical case. And what are these 5 particles? These 5 particles are ki, 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 hi, yi. And these 5 particles are known as the particles possessing E, which is used in the case of the 6th grammatical case, which is the relative case. So we're understanding that it's only used with this relative case. And the reason why we call them ide is because they possess the first of the 4 vowel, which is E. And since these are particles possessing the first vowel, we call them ide. E, the first vowel, then possessing. And since these are connective particle, these are tsikte, the connective particle, we translate it as particles possessing E. Okay. So the 6th grammatical case, delta, relative case. Ming penzuin dewa juebe tunjenki dayimbe namye trukwa delta she chao. Relative case. Since it is a statement that has a meaning of showing relation between any 2 names, here the word ming is name with the lowercase n, not the name with the uppercase n. So the lowercase n. So we see that since it is a statement that has a meaning of showing relation between any 2 names, 6th grammatical case, thus relative case is thus relative case. So the 6th grammatical case is a case that is a usage case as a statement. So 6th grammatical case. So when we ask, what is a 6th grammatical case? What do you mean by the 6th grammatical case? Sorry, it's not the 6th, it's the 6th. So what do you mean by the 6th grammatical case or the relative case? Then you can say that it is a statement that has a meaning of showing relation between any two names. So it is a statement that shows, that has the meaning, or that has the obligation of showing relation between any two names. It is committed to show relation between any two names. And when it does so, it is known as the usage of the sixth grammatical case or the relative case. Relative in a sense that there is relation between the two. Which two? The two names were stated in the statement. So the two names that are stated in the statement have a relation. And we will understand what type of relation these two names have. So therefore, this is the definition. So let me repeat it once more. Delta. Ming Penzun Drawa Jube Tun Jinki Dayimpe Namia Truba Data Shit Chow. Relative case. Since it is a statement that has a meaning of showing relation between any two names, so it shows relation between any two names, sixth grammatical case is thus relative case. So the sixth grammatical case is understood as the relative case. Because of such function that it has as a statement, such commitment it has as a statement. So we have already covered few of those things. The statement of the first grammatical case with the recompound word had the commitment. When it was used with the recompound word, it had the commitment. It had two commitments. The first one was to individualize each statement. Second was to say that there is nothing that follows. To say that there is nothing that follows this statement, or if it does, it is not related to the statement that is stated before this particular recompound particle. In the case of la, the particle used in place of la, we had the second grammatical case where it had the commitment of showing an action done upon an object. Similarly, in the subgroup, it had the same commitment, but then an additional case which states that the object and action were of the same nature, of one nature. In case of the fourth grammatical case, we understood that for the direct statement of the usage case, we understood it was doing a benefit to it. It has either a direct or inferential benefit to a benefit, an action having directly stated or inferential benefit towards the object. And the other one is that the inferential case, where we talked about the harm was done either directly or inferentially to the object by the action. And then the reason case, which we brought from the Mitragana's text of the Magotsuncha. Right? And then we had the seventh grammatical case, which had the commitment of showing an object depending upon a position. And then finally, the subgroup of the seventh grammatical case, that is the time case, it has the commitment of showing the action and the time of the action. When was the action done? So similarly, the sixth grammatical case has the commitment of showing a relation between two names. And in this case, we see that this is done by the usage. This is done by the usage of the particles of the sixth grammatical case. So this is done by the particle of the sixth grammatical case. So you may also ask the question, okay, so here you're doing something else. Here what you have done, that even though it seems that these are particles possessing E, and that the sixth grammatical case is just a usage case of these particles, why do you specify that these particles are of the sixth grammatical case, whereas in the previous one, in the previous lessons, you have been addressing all of the particle as particle used in place of la, despite of the usage case. And the reason is that the only special case is during the that itself, where na is not used. But other than that, in all of those cases, we understand that the same particle, without the difference in the spelling, is being used despite of any usage case. But here we will see that the spelling of the particle for the sixth grammatical case and the third grammatical case vary or is different. Okay, so I'll try to speak slower. So I'm very sorry. Whenever I get into logical statement, I get very excited, and so my speech just goes. So okay. So according to our previous lessons, we have seen that in the particle used in place of la, we have understood that we have observed that whenever I use the particle, I address them as particle used in place of la. Instead of saying that this is the second grammatical case particle, this is the third, this is the fourth grammatical case particle, or this is the seventh grammatical case particle. Instead of doing that, what I did is I just addressed in every usage case, I just addressed it as particle used in place of la. And there is a reason why, because in those usage cases, the particle themselves, the particle themselves do not change the spelling. It's the same in all the usage case, irrelevant of which usage case you're using. And only a special case where what you do is that you deduct, or you just say that one of these 7 particles is not allowed to be used, and that was in Teni, that itself case. And it was from the commentary by Mitragyana in Mago Chunja, where he stated that na cannot be used in Teni, or the itself case. Other than that, we see that in these, other than that, all of these other 6 can be used for all of these cases. And the spellings are all same. But for the ide, the particles possessing e, the problem is that when we are talking about the 6th grammatical case, they will have a different spelling. When we talk about the 3rd grammatical case, it will have a different spelling. So that is the reason why here I am specifically stating it as the particle of 6th grammatical case. So that is the reason why I'm stating it in this way, instead of just using the particle possessing e for all of the usage cases. Okay, so now that I have done that clarification, so now the example. Perna nge nang nga shepe mingchap tang teni ki nang par ki dewa temper iten ki tsikje hakiku yi pyo yoto. So example, my home. Here the particle possessing e, or let's just say okay, so let's just change this, because we want to be very consistent with whatever we're writing. Because we want to be very consistent with, and the thing is that the terminology, the vocabulary related to each lessons will be depending on the lessons that I provide. And then in certain language, and despite of saying that we're going to address it differently, if I do the same, it's going to be very problematic. So, and I will make a PDF and send the same in the Telegram group that we have. So my home, here the particle of 6th grammatical case. So the particle of 6th grammatical case, hakyuguhi, is stated in order to show the relation between the pronoun I and the object whom. So we see that there is a relation made between the I and the whom, and the particle that makes this relation. So right now we're going to keep it as a very loose end term. When we say relation, we're not going to specify what the relation is. We're just going to keep it as a loose end because we're going to discuss what are these different relations that we're talking about. So in the statement my home, here the particle of the sixth grammatical case hakyuguhi is stated in order to show the relation between the pronoun I. So like we said, the two names could either be a name, or so we'll probably clarify that here. So let me see if I have clarified that. Okay, so let me clarify this by using this one. So Mingnam la Mingteni Nguming the Terming Tadung Mingsa Peju Chegus. So when we're using the names, it could either be name, that is actual and designated name. In some translation, you can actually observe the translation being as the nominal name, but we're going to stick to our own terms, so actual and designated name, or it could also be a pronoun. So both of these names. So we see that in the statement we have nge, nang, we have nga and nang, both of them being a name. And both of these names could either be a name, that is actual or designated name, or it could be a pronoun. So in this case, we have the pronoun nga, which means I. So the relation between the pronoun, that is the first name, and the relation between the name whom, that is the second name, is shown, or it's made apparent by the statement of the particle of sixth grammatical case, that is hakyugu, he in this case. So we're also going to discuss, definitely we're going to discuss because it's not an independent particle, so we have to discuss the rules pertaining the usage of these on the basis of the suffix letter. Lasso. So this is the example of, so this is a general example for the sixth grammatical case. Okay, so let us, so and also observe, whenever I talk about these different grammatical case, I address them as statement. I never address them by the particle. So the power is in definitely the particle makes apparent the usage case, but still the entire power lies within the statement, and the particle gains that power from the statement. So please understand that in our analysis of these things, we're going to make sure that our analysis is based on the differentiation or classification of statements, and that the particles are just the byproduct of that differentiation or classification, that the power lies within the statement. We're going to study this entire text through the aspect of statement, different classification of statements, and we're not going to do it on the basis of particle, though it is differentiated on the basis of particle, just as the particle. So the differentiation based on the particle is made on the basis of the existence of this particle, but the usage case should depend more on the statement rather than the particle. So we're not going to give that power to the particles. So therefore, the statement of the necessary components, the components that are necessary for the relative case. So these components are first, Ming Tangbo, the first name, Namie Drubpay, the particle of sixth grammatical case, and then Ming Nipa, the second name. So these are the three necessary components. After that, you can add anything. You see, it's like this. For example, if I say like, what do I need to make a vase? So I need the material. Then I need the skill to make the vase. Then probably the heat and the water. But once I have established the vase, once I've made the vase, the coloring depends on my own choice. So similarly, once you have established this statement as a sixth grammatical statement by these three key components, you can add anything to them to make the sentence longer, to make the sentence seem more poetic. Doesn't matter. But the most important thing is that these three key components, should be there. So this is your principal commitment. This is what you're committing to the sixth grammatical case. You're saying that I'm going to establish my understanding on the sixth grammatical case by stating that it must consist these three key components. Not only that, there should be a relation shown between these two components by the usage of the sixth grammatical case. And if a statement fulfills all of these criteria, for me, that is the statement of sixth grammatical case, despite of how beautiful it may sound, despite of how long it is when we write it, despite of how masterfully the words are used. It doesn't matter. The first name could be as simple as an apple, or it could be as complicated as some of the old Tibetan terms. So my establishment of this statement as the sixth grammatical case doesn't depend on the quality of words that I'm using for the first or second name. It doesn't depend on all the additional word that I'm going to use with it to make it sound more poetic. No, it doesn't matter. As long as three of these key components exist, it is a statement and it fulfills the commitment of showing relation between the first name and the second name. It fulfills to show the relation between the first and the second name. I will consider this as the usage of the sixth grammatical case, irrelevant of anything. So therefore, the three components that are necessary for the relative case. And now we go back to this. It states, Ming Nangla, Ming Namla, Ming, Teni, Ming Da Tang Ming, Tadung, Ming Tsep Peju Cheke. So the name could be either name, that is the actual or designated name, or in some translation, nominal name. But we're going to stick to this. We're going to stick with our own vocabulary. So the names could be either name, that is actual or designated name, or it could be a pronoun. It could be a pronoun. Okay. Now we're going to dive deep into the understanding of what is the relation. Okay, so Namie Drubpay Nangse, subgroup of sixth grammatical case. So these are the relations that are shown between the two names. The first one, Dian Dan Dianpa, Dian Xi, Nie Dan, Dian Bei Chue. Position and object dependent on the position case. So the relation between the position and the object that is dependent on that position. So that is the first type of relation, the relation between the position and the object that is dependent on that position for its existence, or the second relation is Chashie Da Chajin. Sorry, it's Chashie Da Chashie. The relation of parts and whole, relation between the parts and the whole of the parts. Third relation, object and owner relation between the object and the owner of the object. The fourth relation, characteristic bearer and the characteristic, the relation between the characteristic or quality and the one that bears that quality or characteristic. Cause and effect. So relation between the cause and the effect. So these five are the relation. So here, let us go back to the definition. Where is the definition? Okay, we have the definition. Since it is a statement that has a meaning of showing relation between any two names. So the relation, this word relation, let me just make it bold. Is it? No. Let me change the font. Yep. So relation. So now when we say what is the relation, we'll say the relations are: first, the relation between position and object dependent on the position. Second, the relation between parts and whole. Third, relation between owner and object. Fourth, relation between characteristic bearer and the characteristic. Fifth, the relation between cause and effect. Okay, let me repeat it slowly now. The definition says it is a statement that has meaning of showing relation between any two names. Thus, 6 grammatical cases, thus relative case. So what is the relation? The relation is there are 5 relations that are discussed, and due to which these statements are classified in 5. So the first relation is the relation between the position and the object depend on the position. For example, if we say, okay, let me give an example. I'll just provide a small example for every one of you so that we can have an idea what it means. So, Pökimi, a person from Tibet, person of Tibet or from Tibet. Of Tibet. So, a person of Tibet. So we see that the person existing as a Tibetan depends on the Tibet as a position where, as a reference of its origin. So the position is Tibet, that is Pö, and the object dependent on this position is me or person. So therefore, this is the first relation. Tempa. Ten here being the ten being tenshi. Ne. And tempa means temperature, the one that is currently dependent on the position. That's the first relation. The second relation is relation between the parts and whole. We're going to study that too. Third one is the relation between the object and the owner. The third one is the relation between the characteristic and the one that bears that characteristic. And then final is the relation between the cause and effect. And we'll see, it depends. If we have enough time, we might even discuss a little bit on cause and effect during this lesson, but that depends if we would be able to finish it before the 18th. Okay, so the first relation, but the grammatical case is irrelevant of whether we're going to finish it or not. Since today is already the 5th, we are already, let's see, it's Monday, the 5th, it's already 5th. So since it's already 5th, we have 13 more days, in which if we divide it into the, we have only 2 classes each week. So we have like, at most, we have 3 or 4 more classes. So if we are not able to finish it, doesn't matter, we'll continue it in January. If we're able to finish it, then that's very good. And then we will just see if we could talk a little bit on cause and effect. So what are cause and effect? The classification of cause, relation of cause and effect, things like this. From the preliminary epistemology that we have, so the small or the first year of the preliminary epistemology, we'll talk about the cause and effect a little bit from there. Okay, now tempa. Position and object dependent on position. Tenshi nela tenche chu temper namye trupe teki teki soki tempe chuba. So, statement in which the dependent object is shown dependent on the position by the sixth, not the sixth, but the sixth grammatical case. So the dependency is shown by the sixth grammatical case. And such type of grammatical case are known as the sixth grammatical case. So statement in which the dependent object is shown dependent on the position by the sixth grammatical case particle is the statement of tenda tempa, or position and object dependent on position statement. So this is the first relation between, so the first, so we know that there are three components, first name and second name. So in this type of statement, the first name is going to be the position, and the second name is going to be the object dependent on the position. Okay, so so the component which are necessary for these type of statement. So if there is a statement of the sixth grammatical case, and I have to establish whether it's whether which one of the five relation is between the two name. For me to establish it, I have to accept the principal commitment, and the principal commitment states that these three key components should be there. The position, the sixth grammatical case, particle of the sixth grammatical case, the object dependent on the position. So the object which is dependent on the position, position means location. Yes, position means location. So, perna, lob te, lob tu, deru, ten chu, lob tu ni, ten shi, ne, lob taru, temper, namye trupe, tsite, hakigu yi, temper che. Example, student of the school. Here, let's see. So here, the object dependent on the position, which is the student, is shown depending on the position, that is the school, by the usage of the sixth grammatical case, the particle of sixth grammatical case, that is hagyuku yi. So this, let me just highlight this so that it becomes easier to recognize. So this particle, hagyuku yi, is used to show the relation between the position or the location and the object that is dependent on the location. So for someone to be a student, they must be someone that is studying at a school. So the identification as a student depends on the location of a school. First dependency, that is the relation, sorry. So first relation based on that dependency. Since that has to talk about dependency, so first dependency is of the identity of the student based on the position. So if the position or the location doesn't exist, then whosoever identifies as a student can no longer identify as a student. And the more apparent dependency is the student is currently positioned or is standing on the ground of the school. So location and the object dependent on the location. And this type of relation, this particular type of relation is made apparent by the usage of the sixth grammatical case, the particle of the sixth grammatical case, that is hakyugu-yi. We have hakyugu-yi, which is the particle of the sixth grammatical case, and by the usage of this particular particle, it makes apparent that the object depending, which is the student, is dependent upon the position, that is the school. So this is the first usage and first relation. So we're going to introduce, let's see, probably two relation each class. So if I'm being too optimistic, let's try 2. But if we feel that we need more examples, then we will just do less in each class. So we'll just go with 1 relation and then we'll provide more examples for that. Okay, so this is it for today. So this is the lesson for today. That is on the 6th grammatical case, the first usage case under the particle possessing E, and the first relation under the 6th grammatical case, that is of the relation between the object, depending on the location, and the location. Lasso. So questions. Questions? Does anyone have questions regarding today's lesson? So we'll first see who has questions. If no one has questions, then we'll proceed with reciting the text.
Tenzil, I was thinking even school can be an object, but school would come under location, so it won't be object, right? Because school is also dependent on students to be called a school, but it's a location, not an object, right?
So for example, I mean, could you provide me with an example of school that might be the object?
A school for disabled children.
School for disabled children.
Yeah.
But that is
in, I don't know.
So let me think of the statement. Yes, but that in that case, this doesn't become the that doesn't be. So at this very moment, no mention of the contradictory statement. So very sorry for that. We will cover this. We will cover this next time. Not in this session or class, but once we're done with Tree of Excellent Speech, when we go to the commentary by Situ Rinpoche, I will give example for this. So so this is the reason why I'm not giving example for the contradictory statement is because we already have too many different usage cases already. And for the question by Divyala, that is to do with the school for the special needs, right?
Right.
For the special need, we see that this is going to be one of the other relation. It will come under one of the other relation, where both school and the special needs are going to be 2 different objects and not a location. So therefore, so when we say the school for special needs children, we say that it's a school which is specialized for them, right? So it's like a special characteristic of that school. So that will be in the case of characteristic and the characteristic bearer. So since since we say characteristic bearer, it doesn't have to be animate. It could be something that's like a school and have a quality, right? So we
Right.
will discuss it there. And I hope that this clarifies it.
Yes, yes, to some extent.
That's so.
Yeah. Mm.
So then I'm very sorry. Today was a little fast. So I'm very sorry. So I have to work on this. Whenever I get excited, especially when I have to provide reasoning, it happens with me. I tend to be very excited, and then I tend to speak much faster. But yes, please rewatch the video, and if necessary, just slow down the audio for the video and then listen to it. And I'm very sorry. I'll work on it. I'll work on that to make sure that future classes would be much more convenient. And all relation of sixth grammatical case are classified to 5 relations. Yes, according to this text, yes, 5 relations. But do we have more usage cases? Yes, but not stated in this text. So we're not going to. The reason why I don't want to provide too many of those things is because we already have 5 here. And for this third grammatical case, we'll have 6 or 5 or 6 more. So it's already 10. And then to have more than 10, so we will take it like with the next commentary. We'll take it with that, and then we will talk about even more specialized usage with more specialized commentary. Here, I think 10 or 11 is enough. So therefore, we will only study those. Will you be providing examples? So for this, I already answered. Contradictory statement, I won't be providing example because it's something that has to come with future classes when we discuss another commentary of the same text. Will you be giving examples for other 4? We are still not done with the other 4. We only finished with the first. Then next classes we will discuss for the other 4. I said like if being too optimistic, we might be able to finish 2. But if we can't, we will try to finish 1 each day, each class. But doesn't matter the amount of time that we take. The thing is that it should be well understood and well established. That is the reason why we're having like a very elaborate class on tree of eloquent speech. So therefore, and I will work on the speed. I will work on the speed. I'm very sorry for the speed. I know that Divyala had already reminded in between, but then as I spoke, I was already in. So if I speak in a more normal term, I was in my zone already. So I was just going in reasoning, and it was making me excited because it was most of this were just reasoning and definition and reasoning. So I will work on that. Okay, any more questions? Does anyone has one more question? If not, then please read. Someone should read the text today to conclude everything in auspiciousness. We started with the dedication to Saraswati, the female emanation of Manjushri, the wisdom, the pure wisdom. Then we end with someone reciting it, and that would be the entire class, very auspiciously done. And then whenever you have time, another thing that you must understand is that you have to, at the end of the class, even if you're not doing it here, what you do is that you just confess of your own imperfections, and even with learning this from a person who has so many imperfections, you just say 1 or 2 words of apology for all the imperfections, and that you may work on those. It's not to feel like oh, because I have imperfection that I'm still very at the beginning. It's to remind oneself that there's still so much to aspire. And believe me, when you have so much to aspire, life actually tends to be very interesting because you have so much to still learn, So like, I mean, it would be terrible if we had like a life of Gendu Chembe, who at the near end of his life was saying things like, he was crying and he was saying things like, one of the 20th century scholar Gendun Chembe, he was saying at the end of his life, he was saying things like, by crying, he was crying, and his student asked, why are you crying? And he said that if you people did not understand anything, you could ask me. But if I don't understand, whom should I go and ask? So it doesn't mean that Gendu Chimbe was arrogant. Definitely he was prideful because of his knowledge, but he had so much knowledge that he could not go to anyone else to ask for clarification. So if we reach that point of life, then life seems very boring because there's nothing more to learn. As long as we have something to improve, life is still very, very interesting. That is what I feel. So without further elaboration and talking too much, one of you please recite the text for the Tree of Excellent speech to the point of the three portions, or the two portions that we had. So you may recite it, or if you have memorized it, wonderful. If you haven't memorized it, then recitation would be also wonderful, so that we can end the entire class as a complete cycle of auspiciousness. So who will read today? Who would like to read?
Tenzila, can I ask another question?
Yes, please.
So I was wondering, why are we calling it a relative case? Because relative in my mind is taking me to something being relative to something else. But here, that's not the meaning here. So
what do you understand by relative? Please clarify.
Relative would be like big is big because it's in relation to small, right?
But
or something being something in relation to.
So student is a student with relation to school, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore relative. Though at the first time I thought that I should use the word relation case, but then I thought that instead of relation, relative seems much better word, because of that relation there is a sort of relativeness, but it is relative as an existence of the two names, isn't it? When we say the student of the school, the student has the relation of the student, and the school has the relation of the location and the object dependent on the location. But now we, like I said, now we try to understand what is that dependence. It could be relative, isn't it? Like a student is a student. Why? Because there is a school. A school is a school. Why? Because there is a student. But that is not the direct approach to the statement. Definitely, I agree that this is not the direct approach toward the statement. If someone is studying this, they will not take the direct approach towards that. But yes, relative because of that reason for me. And then there are also other names that they have used for this. Let me see. So they have used other terms. So they have used genitive case. So since I cannot back that terminology with my own understanding, so I just used relative because I have a reasoning for that.
Yeah, because that's also connect to the relative truth and ultimate truth, and then
yes. So when you dive deep into this, then like I said, like we already discussed numerous times, the pledge of composing of Mitra Gyana in his text, he stated that even though it may not be possible to express the ultimate truth in terms of names and words, but I am still going to clarify on these things to establish the conventional understanding of the existence. So we see that when we go in those direction, definitely this is to arise. This is a factor of arising towards arising wisdom. I told you from the first class, this belongs in the wisdom basket. So it arises wisdom. So we have to go. If you want to go, you can go towards those ends also. So, and that is the reason why I said if we have time, we'll also discuss on the cause and effect that we normally discuss in the preliminary epistemology of Buddhism. We talk about different type of cause, direct cause, indirect cause, the cooperative cause, the substantial cause, and then about the effect, different type of effect also. If we have time, we will discuss those things too. So that is the reason. So now,
but Tanzila, in that way, everything is relative case, no, not just this grammatical case.
But if I mean, but the thing is that in this case it shows the relative. So the thing is that this statement shows the relation, isn't it?
All right.
If we say something like nang to do, right? Go to home. Definitely, if you want to say that there is a relativeness between this because it is a home. I can go to home because there is a home. Right. And it is a home because I'm going towards the home, right? But true. The case is that it doesn't show directly, is it? Like it was like in the case where we are saying like lobte, lobshu, which means the student of school. In this, we see that the statement itself shows the relation, isn't it? Therefore, relative case. Now, Lasso, thank you for the question. So always thankful for any questions, you know, it's very wonderful. Okay, now, so if, does anyone want to read today the text? If not, then since Divyala has already answered question, then I would like to ask Divyala to read it today. Oh, okay. If that is, then I think we have Svetala. If Svetala would like to read, then we can ask Svetala. Or if Divyala would like to read it, then we can ask Divyala. So it depends. No problem. No need to say sorry. So Svetala, it is you who would read today and then complete the auspiciousness of the class.
Did it hear me?
Lasso?
I cannot be so loud, so then there is very quiet. One more time, we're going to do it, then can check the almost Mama Guru Mata Vishnu, Mama Chota stage, and began the custom, and the screen, and the local social and the other secretary. Take the EEL, use the secretary, Mama Mama from the art, Mama potentially then, so you know, you can Kotokama, Kotokama, and there, you're talking to me, what you need to do.
Okay, so to this point, so the point to the third grammatical case. Okay, thank you very much. Very wonderful. So now we have finished the class for today, and very sorry that it went so fast. So if anyone needs more clarification, directly tell me, and then I will send you voice recording if needed. I will send you video recordings if needed for me explaining everything. So make sure that you understand what we're doing here. It takes many years to study this for you to study these, right? So make sure that those years which you're spending to study these is fruitful. So make sure you ask me. If you don't understand, you say, Genla, I didn't understand this. Explain it to me. If you require me to make a video recording, tell me. Make a video recording when you can, and when I can, I will do that, definitely. So we will have the assignment of this, send it, and then I'll probably create a Google form again. So I have sent it most of the assignment in the form of Google form. So those who have not done it, please do those. And the other thing, so the clarification on the assignment that Yurila said, I will do it on the group definitely tomorrow because it's Tuesday. So tomorrow class, we will postpone it to Wednesday because Tuesday becomes too much. So therefore, we postpone it to Wednesday now. So I'll see every one of you on Wednesday. Thank you very much for joining in the class. I hope the class was beneficial, and tashitele to everyone. And thank you once again for your commitment towards learning this language as well as towards learning Buddhism. And I will see every one of you on Wednesday. Lasso tashitele.
Thank you.
Lasso.